Guitar tips, guitar tips, just the tips, just for you. Guitar tips. Hello and welcome to Guitar Tips. My name is Adam Levy. This is my weekly video blog series. I post a new tip here each and every Friday. You can tune in and catch them all. I appreciate you tuning in. You can even subscribe, believe it or not. There's a red button down there somewhere about. It may be easier to see from where you're sitting than it is from where I'm sitting. In any case, I do appreciate you becoming a subscriber or just being a casual viewer, whatever works for you. This week's tip is brought to you by Martin Guitar Strings. Those are the strings I use. I dig them. They sound good. They feel good. They are reliable. It's just, the world is unreliable, and it's nice to have something that you can count on. So I count on Martin Guitar Strings. Thank you, Martin. This week's guitar tip, last week, if you're a subscriber, you may have seen that last week I answered 3 questions from viewers, and I'm going to tackle one more this week. I got a comment from a viewer named Ruba Galline. I hope I'm saying that right. It looks like it could be Italian, maybe? I don't know. Ruba Galline says, "Hi, Adam." Hi, Ruba. I've always thought of the piano of Norah Jones as a very much solo-oriented kind of playing. It looks very hard to fit in that with the guitar to me. Is it actually? That's a good question. So, there's this kind of idea that you hear people talk about, that guitar and piano, it's hard to make them work well together. So this week's guitar tip is make peace with pianists. Make peace with pianists. It's kind of hard to say. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but it's not really that hard to do. So the first thing I would say is don't believe the hype of that. Yes, piano is a chord instrument. We are a chord instrument. Yes, piano can be a rhythmic instrument. We are a rhythmic instrument. Yes, there's a lot of information in the same frequency range, potentially. The kind of middle range on the piano is right where the guitar sits. So, could be problematic, but I don't think it's any more problematic than in, say, playing in a band with 2 guitar players. What you have to do is just learn to stay out of each other's way. So, one strategy for that is, if you get the chance to play with one piano player over a long stretch of time, you get to know each other's playing, and you get to sort of listen ahead. If the piano player is going in a particular direction, you have a pretty good idea of what's coming next. And that can be great, but many times you don't get the luxury of that kind of time with one other musician. If you're just a jobbing guitar player, you may be looking at playing with, one piano player one night, and then the next week you're playing with a different piano player or whatever. So let's take it as that. Let's say you don't have let's say it's not somebody that you're playing with all the time. In the case of Norah, when we made her first record, I had been playing with her already for a few years, so I did know her style pretty well. But really, the thing I think that made it work in that particular case of playing guitar in Norah Jones's band is that many of the songs had very specific guitar parts, some of which I came up with, a lot of which were thought up by Jesse Harris, who's a songwriter who worked with Nora on the first couple records, and before that too, just playing gigs around New York City. So, for example, there's a song on Nora's first record called Nightingale, and the chords essentially are A, G. I'm trying to get this straight. There you go. The chords are essentially A, G, D. Nightingale, sing us a song. And so what Jesse did was, instead of just, no, I spent all that time for nothing. Instead of just going, Nightingale, sing us a song. So that's one way to do it. If you did that, you might get in the way of the piano player. It's a pretty full-on strum fest there. But Jesse played this guitar part. I'm going to play it sort of more or less. 2, 3, 4. Right? So it's very simple. It's very repetitive. It does use a lot of real estate in the sense that it's almost 2 whole octaves from the low note to the top note. But it's because of its repetitive nature, the breadth of it becomes diminished. Not diminished like that, but it gets smaller pretty quickly. By the 3rd or 4th bar, your ear will tune it out in a good way. Just like, okay, that's gonna just keep happening. I don't have to pay too much attention. That's a good thing. Also, Jesse on the original recording, what I just played was the intro. But when the verse happens, instead of having this melody happen on the 1st and 2nd string, in the verses he simplifies the part to just this: 2, 3, 4. So the part even gets a little bit smaller. We don't go up to that high string. We only go as high as there. And then when the chorus happens, we get the variety of. Does it seem like I'm looking for an answer? So that comes back in. So there's basically a verse part and a chorus part, and they're similar but not exactly the same. So that makes for a very predictable guitar part, and it means that Nora can play around that a lot. There's a lot of, even though it doesn't sound like a spacious guitar part, in its repetition, it winds up creating space. So that's one type of song. Another song, I promise I'm not going to play the whole freaking record for you. I'm just going to do a couple of things. But Don't Know Why also has a pretty full out guitar part. There's a lot going on, but it becomes repetitive and predictable in a good way. So it's a lot going on, but it becomes, it's kind of like Stairway to Heaven. When you first hear the song and the guitar is just naked up front, it sounds like a really, intricate guitar part. But as the song goes on and there's more overdubs and, other sounds going on, your ear doesn't stay so tuned into the guitar part anymore, because some part of your mind tells you, oh, I don't have to listen to that anymore. I heard it the first time, and now I can focus on other things, So that's, if you're playing any kind of pop music or rock music or alt rock, indie pop, whatever it is, a very predictable guitar part is one of the secrets to playing with keyboards. Here's another example, not from Norah Jones, but this is a song by the band. It's called Up on Cripple Creek. The verse has a really specific guitar part. I can't do palm muting so great on this guitar just because of this is sitting right where I'd want to do it, but I'm going to try it. So once the verse starts, when I get out this, it's just eighth notes, palm muting, power chords. It's almost a punk rock guitar part at first. It goes A to D, and then so again, these are kind of busy. If you're going to do that, I'm not sure that every piano player is going to love that, but if your tone is clean and maybe a little bit compressed and see, compression right there, that's another kind of way to make your playing predictable. You're making the dynamics a little bit more predictable. So things you can do to make your, and I'm saying predictable in a good way. Playing with a piano player, it's helpful if you play in a more predictable way and you're not jumping all over the place. So being predictable is coming up with a specific part, or just playing in a specific rhythm. Like I'll come back to the band in a sec, but if you think of Hey Pocky Way by the Meters, I don't know if you know the Meters or this song, but the guitar part is quite busy. Rhythmically, it's 2, 3, 4. And then it repeats. Okay, so while that's going on the electric guitar, the piano, that's Leo Nocentelli, great guitar player in the Meters. There's a very busy piano part that Art Neville is playing. And the piano part is a little bit more moment to moment reacting in the song, whereas the guitar part is just super predictable. It doesn't change at all. Same thing in the band. Up on Cripple Creek, that guitar part is very specific. So I'll get to this one more part. Now it just kind of strums. And there's a little clavinet part. The band sounds kind of loose and slinky as that song goes by, but if you really break down the guitar part, it's super duper specific. And I don't know if that happened in one take or if it happened over weeks of rehearsing or how they put it together. But if you listen to many great examples of pop and rock songs, you'll see that guitar parts are constrained and predictable, and that's a good thing. So that's a skill that you want to cultivate anytime you're playing music with other people, but in particular playing with piano, because you're sharing harmonic territory and you're sharing a lot of the same space. It's like you suddenly have a roommate in the smallest apartment in New York City or something. You got to carve out your space very carefully and be predictable, So that's kind of my answer. In Norah Jones's case, again, very parts oriented. Examples from the Meters, from the band. If you're a jazz oriented player, this stuff is harder to apply because we don't have as much opportunity for really specific guitar parts in jazz. We tend to play more moment to moment and more reactive. But you can still, pick a smaller area to cover. Instead of playing, like if you're going to play All the Things You Are, don't play big chords. Play kind of just like little pieces of chords. And either just play like I just did, you can play whole notes, or if you want to play rhythm, make it something really simple and predictable. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm playing eighth rest, dotted quarter, and half note. It could be something as simple as that. It's a little busy if you do it all the time, but it would sort of just disappear into the fabric of the groove if you were consistent about it. You don't even have to play 3-note chords. You could play 2-note chords. You don't even have to play chords. You could play just one note, believe it or not, behind a soloist. If the bass player is doing what they need to do, and the drummer is doing what they need to do, and the soloist is doing what they need to do, you could really just play single melody notes in that kind of low mid range behind a soloist. You could lay out. That's another thing I hadn't mentioned. You could lay out. You don't have to play guitar in every part of every song with or without a piano player. Resting is totally okay. Okay, another long tip. I didn't mean to talk for whatever this is, 16 minutes, 17 minutes. But a good question needs the best answer that I can give. So I hope this is all clear. I hope you're more clear than you were when you first asked the question. And there you go. I want to mention again, as I did mention last week, that I have a few courses, video courses available via TrueFire. If you're already subscribed to TrueFire or a TrueFire member, you can find the courses on their website, or you could go to my website, which is adamlevy.com, and click on the education tab, and then you'll see my TrueFire courses. Right now they're doing for a limited time, they're doing a promotion where you can buy all 3 of my courses for a very budget-friendly price. So do check that out. There's 2 courses on rhythm and 1 course on soloing. So that's it for this week. Make peace with pianists. Make peace with pianists. Hope that you'll do that. They're nice people, and they know a lot about harmony, and you can learn a lot from talking about music with a good piano player. Jeez. So what else can I say? I'm Adam Levy. This is Guitar Tips. Stay tuned and take good care.